And just like that, the topsoil is spread back across the hill so we can seed for winter rye. They've loaded up the dozer. They left behind the skid steer to clean up any rough areas that were still holding water. But for the most part, the beeping is gone, and we are thankful. On this episode, we'll be making more fish habitat using the larger logs and cedar trees to make habitat for the bass at the drop-off points, as well as using the brush for bait fish habitat for bluegill, as well as threadfin shad and fathead minnows. If you watched the previous episode, you know the driveway I'm driving over there had a leak. That has since been fixed, and now we are trying to let the ground dry out before we add gravel. This is the bait fish habitat that I was referring to at the beginning of this video. What I'm doing is taking some pallets that we had left over. These were from when we built the waterfall stream in front of the cabin. That is also in front of where the future house will go. All the rocks that we ordered came on these pallets. We had about 75,000 pounds of boulders delivered, so we have a lot of these pallets that were sitting around. We also had some leftover horse fence like this, 2x4 wire, that we used for around our garden. So I figured I would use the things that we had sitting here to make these habitats. I do know that the wire mesh isn't ideal for when you're fishing. Obviously, you could get your hook stuck in there fairly quickly. So we'll make note of where these are, mark them with a duck decoy so that we're not fishing right on top of them. This process is fairly simple. Even with a one-man job, I would just unroll about 6 to 7 feet of that mesh wire that would stand up how it looks right now on that pallet. And then I'm going around with some stainless staples to staple it in at every section I can where it hits that pallet. And then I will fill it up with all the brush. Use some of the brush to stick out of the actual squares in the fencing, and then put a sack of Quickcrete on top of it or cinder blocks to help weigh it down, because all of this wood that we are adding into this pond will float since it is not currently waterlogged. That does include the bass habitat that we were just building previously with the larger logs and large cedar trees. Those as well will float to the surface if they are not anchored properly. And for those of you that have noticed, I'm still wearing hearing protection even though I'm off the tractor. That tends to be something routine for me. These 3M noise canceling headphones also have FM radio and Bluetooth, so many times I forget to take them off just because I'm enjoying listening to something while I work. For these, I simply again used what I had, which was some rebar tie, which is just basically baling wire, as well as some zip ties, and I just alternated them back and forth. On the next episode, we will be building more habitat, more with what we have laying around and putting use to it, as well as placing all of these bait fish habitats in the pond in strategic locations. We appreciate you guys watching our videos again and being a part of the channel. We will see you on the next one.